Haunted by a cursed past, she exposes the sinister killer who destroyed her family in 30 days. Claire Thompson stood frozen at the foot of her childhood home, a quaint postcard relic in Riverton. It wasn't just a house, it was a crypt of long-buried secrets, and she was ready to dig. The air filled with unease as the sun dipped behind the horizon, casting eerie shadows across the well-manicured lawns like whispers of what lay buried below. The floorboards creaked beneath her, an unsettling welcome back from the dark depths of her estranged mother's life. Every shadow felt alive, every gust of wind a ghostly breath brushing against her neck. As she stepped inside, the scent of dust and mildew washed over her, carrying memories of laughter now turned bitter. She glanced around, trying to remember when this place felt safe when it didn't feel like a trap spiraling into madness. Outside, hummingbirds flitted, unaware of the sinister past lurking behind the facade of suburbia. Lit by the flickering dying light, her mother's neglected garden seemed to stand as a monument to decay-choked weeds, broken plant pots, and once vibrant roses now wilted shadows of their former selves. In the dim light, Claire sorted through scattered old photographs. Her fingers trembled with each familiar face, but then she noticed something glossy wedged in the corner. A diary, its frayed edges whispering like old friends bearing burdens untold. As she thumbed through its pages, unease settled into her bones. The outpour of words drew her in, tales of twisted fates and unsolved murders that stained the town's history, her family name mentioned more than once. The ink seemed alive, dark truths spilling onto the page like blood seeping through cracks in the floor. But she wasn't alone. At night, her senses heightened, every creak became a specter, every rustle a portent of doom. Shadows danced in the periphery, sent shivers racing down her spine. Claire could have sworn she heard scratching, like something was trying to claw its way back to the surface. Shrugging it off, she pressed on, but the sense of being watched suffocated her as she met cold smiles from neighbors who once welcomed her. Their surface cheer cracked under the weight of her questions, something heavy lurking just underneath. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the Riverton Festival approached, the town turned festive, but for Claire, it morphed into a deadline shrouded in dread. Whispers clawed at her sanity, phone calls clicked off before she could speak. A text, ominous in its simplicity, read, "You should have stayed away." Panic surged, her heart raced, churned in quiet despair. The closer she came to the truth, the colder the air became. Then, standing amidst the festival's colorful chaos, she locked eyes with a familiar face. A sharp smirk formed, their gaze piercing through the crowd. Shadows clung around them, thick with menace. A gripping realization gripped her. The killer might not just haunt her family's past, they were living right next door, masked behind a guise of friendliness. Claire's breath faltered. Who could she trust now that the very fabric of her world unraveled before her? In the bustle of celebration, darkness took root, waiting for the perfect moment to make its terrifying return. Claire's heart raced, tangled emotions pulsing through her as fear settled deep within. She felt the revelry of the Riverton Festival spin into a blur of colors and laughter, darkened by the realization of who was watching. The festive lights twinkled like a mocking reminder of her reality, each chime and cheer ringing hollow in her ears. She needed to move, needed to breathe. Gathering her courage, she broke away from the throng, slipping through alleyways cluttered with remnants of past celebrations, crushed soda cans, remnants of confetti stuck to the pavement like ghosts of joy. Claire's footsteps echoed softly behind her, a rhythm that matched her racing heart. What was she to do? She could feel the eyes on her, could almost hear the voices that blended with the music, calling out her name. Breathe, she whispered to herself, squeezing her thoughts into focus. She needed answers. The diary clamped down on her mind like a vice, its contents swirling through her thoughts like a storm she couldn't control. She couldn't shake the knowledge that the town, her childhood home, had more secrets than she had ever imagined. Just as she rounded a corner, Claire darted into a narrow passageway flanked by tall hedges, desperate for a moment of quiet. The cool night air kissed her skin, the sweet but acrid scent of fried food mixing with anxiety creating a noxious brew. She pressed herself against the damp wood of a low fence, trying to compose herself. A flicker of movement caught her attention, and she instinctively ducked low, heart thumping against her ribcage. Through the gaps between the bushy hedges, she caught sight of that smirking face. Her neighbor, the one who had seemed overly friendly yet disconcertingly watchful, stalked the edges of the festival, studying the crowd like a predator looking for its prey. He leaned against a lamppost, arms folded, casting long shadows that danced when the light flickered. "Who are you?" Claire muttered under her breath, frustration boiling just beneath her skin. She felt a sharp chill, not just from the cool night, but from a deeper understanding. This was not just a neighbor but a link to the dark past that had shackled her family. Her breath caught in her throat as the realization crashed over her. Their connection was thicker than she had ever realized. The secret whispered through an alley could soon become her doom. Claire's instincts screamed at her to leave, to flee this nightmare of deception, but she could not turn her back. Not now. With knuckles white as she gripped the wooden fence, she promised herself she would confront the monster. But as she leaned in to get a better look, the shadows shifted and that smirk disappeared. He was gone. Not again, she breathed, confusion churning inside her. She scrambled out from her hiding place, the festival lights bending in a surreal haze. Where had he gone? A whisper of movement sent her eyes darting to the sides. Every corner of the street now felt like an escape route for another horror. Then, her phone buzzed again, attention yanking back to its screen. The message was simple and terrifying: "I see you." Claire stumbled as adrenaline shot through her, the world closing in. Her reality felt as fragile as glass. Panic surged, turning her thoughts monochrome, a fight-or-flight response kicking in. She had to find him. She had to unravel the truth. But who was really hunting who? With determination ignited in her gaze, Claire plunged back into the swirling chaos of the festival. Each beat of her heart echoed with urgency, racing against an unseen clock. The killer was out there, the secrets were deeper than she imagined. Time was running out, a confrontation loomed ahead, vicious and inevitable. Would she be able to uncover the truth before it consumed her? With that thought, the shadows deepened. Claire's chest tightened as she melded into the crowd, the distant music thumping in time with her galloping heart. She had to shake the feeling of being watched. The laughter around her felt like shards of glass, glinting with malicious intent. Each face she passed seemed to belong to a stranger, or worse, a potential enemy. What if this is how it all ends? She thought, panic whispering in her ear like a serpent. She fought the urge to dart toward the lights that promised safety, for they felt like a trap. Instead, she pressed deeper into the maze of festival vendors, hiding in plain sight amidst cotton candy stalls and glittering carnival rides. Then, a burly figure appeared, bumping into her shoulder. He was dressed like a clown, a horrific sight that made Claire's skin crawl. His painted grin was too wide, almost unnatural. "Haven't you had enough fun?" he called out, his voice a sharp contrast to the festive laughter swirling around them. The humor in his tone sent chills down her spine. It felt menacing. "Not now," she muttered under her breath, pushing through the crowd again, her eyes darting nervously. She could almost feel the unseen eyes tracing her every move. Panic fluttered in her chest as she became hyper-aware of every breath, every footstep echoing around her. Stumbling toward the Ferris wheel, she sought refuge in the shadows cast by its lights. There was a sudden crack of laughter, a triumphant sound that echoed like a death knell in her ears. It sent a vicious shiver down her spine. Had he been the one laughing? The clown? Or was it the neighbor? The image of that smirking face loomed large in her mind, unshakable. In that moment, Claire caught sight of something reflecting in the flickering bulbs above her. Through the thrumming pulse of the festival, her gut twisted as the figure appeared again, half hidden behind a wagon selling popcorn. He was leaning casually against it, his eyes scanning the crowd like a hawk watching prey. She jerked back before he could spot her, heart hammering like a war drum. The diary flashed in her mind, its pages filled with secrets that should never have been unearthed. Who did he think he was? What connection did he still have to her family? Claire. The voice was soft, almost melodic, yet laced with a darkness that caught in her throat. She spun around, the world dimming for an instant. A woman stood before her, her face partially obscured by the shadows. Claire didn't recognize her, but she sensed something unsettling about her presence. It was the way she moved, graceful yet predatory. "Do you want the truth?" the woman asked, her smile chilling. "What do you know about me?" Claire felt a chill slide down her spine. "More than you know about yourself," the woman whispered, stepping closer. Shadows clung to her like a second skin. "You're not alone in this, but you might wish you were." Claire recoiled, dread pulling her deeper into the night. The unnerving words hung in the air like smoke, thick and suffocating. All at once, her phone buzzed again, a sharp reminder of the unseen danger looming over her. "Meet me where the lights fade." Claire stared at the screen, panic pooling in her stomach. The message sent ripples of fear through her. Who was playing this sick game? She felt trapped in a ritualistic cycle of horror, every moment dragging her closer to a confrontation she wasn't ready for. "I need to get out of here," her mind shouted. But the crowd wouldn't part, and there was nowhere to escape. All she could do was push through, desperately seeking a path away from the chaos while knowing the darkness was chasing her, tightening its grip with every step. "Is the truth worth the cost?" she whispered to herself, bracing for the inevitable. What awaited her just beyond the festival's flickering lights? She had to find out, or the terror might consume her whole. As she pressed onward, a chilling discovery lay ahead. Would she dare uncover it? Claire's breath hitched as she forced herself through the throng. Every laugh was a taunt, every bright light a lie. She felt the darkness creeping into her mind, feeding on her fear like a parasite. The carnival atmosphere, childlike joy mixed with the scent of buttery popcorn, was suffocating. When she reached the edge of the crowd, the shadows deepened. Beyond the spangled lights, the path narrowed, twisting toward the old, abandoned vendor stalls. Her phone buzzed again, and this time, the screen flickered with an ominous light. "You need to trust me," it read. "Trust?" she echoed, her voice trembling. "Who sent it?" Images of the woman danced in her head, her sharp smile, the way she slithered closer. Was she friend or foe? Claire's feet moved on instinct, leading her deeper into the darkness. The laughter faded behind her, leaving an eerie silence that roared in her ears. As she ventured further, the shadowy outline of the Ferris wheel loomed overhead. Its lights flickered, casting ominous shapes across the ground. They twisted and curled, like fingers reaching out for her. She paused, glancing back. No one followed, or at least, no one she could see. But she felt an unsettling awareness, as if the very air around her had thickened. Claire stepped into an alley beside a tattered booth marked "Fortunes Told." The window was cracked, and curtains fluttered like trapped wings. "Do you really want to know?" A voice emerged from the gloom, startling her. Claire recognized it instantly. The whisper echoed in her mind like a broken record. "Stay away from me," she shouted, her heart racing. "Too late, Claire." The voice was softer now, almost sing-song. "I'm already inside you." A figure slinked out of the shadows. It was the woman again, her presence as chilling as a winter's breath. Claire backed away, pulse pounding. "What are you? What do you want?" Those eyes, sapphire and ruthless, locked onto hers. "To show you the past you've forgotten. To unveil the truth hidden in the darkness." The hint of something sinister laced her words. Claire felt a chill press down her spine. "I don't want any part of this." The woman smiled then, revealing a glint of sharp teeth. "Oh, but you must. The truth is in your blood. You can't escape it. Get away." Claire gasped, wanting to run, but her body was frozen, trapped like a deer in headlights. "Meet me where the lights fade." The woman leaned in, her breath cold against Claire's skin. Each word felt like a dagger. You have only 30 days to learn your family's secrets. Or face the consequence. The darkness surged around Claire, constricting her, squeezing tight. 30 days? Yes, and time is running out. The laughter bouncing through the festival shifted, echoing in mockery. Each peal now sounded like a countdown, an inevitability she couldn't escape. With a sudden burst of strength, Claire broke free, darting down the corridor between the stalls. Shadows morphed in her wake, threatening to engulf her. Her senses sharpened, the adrenaline driving her forward. She needed answers, combating the truths she didn't want to confront. She fled through the fracas of eating and laughing, the haunting mantra of 30 days harrowing her mind. With every frantic glance behind, she realized she was not alone anymore. The clown reappeared, not far behind. His grin webbed wildly across his face. Where do you think you're going, little rabbit? Panic cut through her veins like ice water. Claire sped toward the perimeter of the festival, her breath hitching in fear. She saw the edge of the fairground, where the last hints of lanterns flickered like dying stars. What lies in the darkness? She gasped, glancing back, dread heavy on her chest. What happens in 30 days? But the crowd roared and laughed, oblivious to her turmoil. Suddenly, Claire turned, pushing herself to the limit. She knew she needed to confront whatever was waiting at the end of her countdown, but would she be ready for what awaited her? Just as she reached the outer boundary of the festival, a shadow leaped from behind a stand. Claire barely managed to dodge. Heart pounding, a chilling realization dawning on her. What if this wasn't just about uncovering the truth? What if it meant facing her worst fears? And the darkness behind her laughed once more, an echo fading only to build toward greater horror still. Would she find courage in the face of the nightmares ahead? Claire sprinted faster, her feet pounding against the asphalt, the laughter of the crowd fading into a menacing backdrop. Each step felt like a lifetime, a pulse racing against the clock she didn't even know how to read. Her breaths came quick and shallow as she reached the warped remnants of a fortune-teller's booth. The rickety wood creaked under the whispering wind like a creaky old ghost. Was this where the woman had directed her? She hesitated, glancing back toward the chaos of the carnival, a kaleidoscope of lights twinkling like devilish stars. Fear clawed at her, but she could almost hear the woman's teasing voice echoing in her mind. You can't escape it. Suddenly, from the gaps in the worn-out fabric of the booth's opening, Claire heard a rustling. Get in. A voice hissed, a voice she didn't recognize, desperate and trembling. Before she could respond, something latched onto her arm, a cold, clammy grip that yanked her inside, pulling her into a wall of darkness. Inside, a young woman, no more than 20, sat hunched over a flickering crystal ball, her face illuminated by an otherworldly glow. Her features were drawn, wide, frightened eyes surveyed Claire, who was still gasping for air. Are you with her? The girl stammered, fear laced in her tone. What? No. Who her? The woman with the blue eyes. The girl's voice quavered. You've got to run. She's been collecting us, one by one. We thought we could escape. But she has plans. Claire's heart raced, every instinct warning her to bolt, but the girl's urgency held her captive. What do you mean? Who is she? She's not just a woman, the girl whispered, glancing toward the entrance. She's the keeper of the secrets. She knows what we've done, what our families have done. She's here to collect debts, blood debts. This was madness. But Claire didn't have time to process. The weight of 30 days hung heavily over her like a dark cloud ready to unleash its storm. Listen. I don't have. The booth shook violently. A hollow laugh erupted from outside, sending shivers down Claire's spine. She could feel the air vibrate with sinister energy, making her heart stutter. The carnival loves to hide the truth in shadows, the girl whispered. You have to get away. Now. In an instant, Claire's instincts kicked in. She shoved past the girl, flinging the door open just as the laughter peaked. The chaos outside seemed even louder, like birds screeching before a storm. But there were no birds, just a swarming crowd, oblivious to the lurking nightmare. The clown appeared at the edge of her vision, his painted grin now a grotesque mask of glee. "You were looking for answers, weren't you?" he taunted, his voice dripping with malice. "No," Claire shouted, the sharpness of her voice piercing through the laughter. She bolted into the crowd, her heart racing as panic surged through her veins. But which way to go? The paths twisted, merging into an endless maze of nightmares. Every corner turned brought shadows that danced just out of sight. 30 days. She screamed, desperation flooding her voice. What does it mean? A flash of blue caught her eye. The woman stood against a backdrop of crimson lights, her sapphire eyes glinting. "The answer is buried deep, Claire, within you." Terror gripped her throat when she realized the crowd was starting to shift, as though it responded to the woman's presence. Faces began to turn smiling, twisted, unrecognizable. The air thickened, becoming stifling. Claire turned back toward the booth, but the entrance was obscured with a swirling mass of shadow. She was trapped. She stumbled backward as the world seemed to spin, the laughter growing in volume and pitch. A horrible thought pierced her mind. What if the truth was worse than the darkness itself? Then, in the clamor, something cold latched onto her ankle. Panic surged as she looked down, only to see a skeletal hand reaching up from the dust, pulling her down. "No, no." She gasped, kicking, fighting against the pull. And then everything went black. Will she be able to escape the grip of her past, or will the darkness swallow her whole? Claire woke up gasping, the sharp air suddenly striking her lungs like ice. Heart thundering, she blinked against the darkness, the carnival's distant laughter still echoing, twisted behind a veil of shadows. Where was she? Panic clawed at her again. She pushed herself upright, her fingers curling around the damp earth. Cold sweat dripped down her back as her trembling hands fumbled in the invitation-less light, searching for any solid surface. A tangle of cold, wilting weeds brushed against her skin. The smell of rotten mulch filled the air, mingling with the sharpness of something metallic. "Help me!" a voice shouted from somewhere outside the gloom. It pierced through her panic, slicing the thick air. "Shoo! You'll bring her!" hissed another voice, raw with fear. Claire scrambled to her feet, her heart hammering in her ears. She wanted to run, but curiosity pulled her closer to the voices, drawing her toward an unseen rendezvous. She crept carefully, the soft ground swallowing her footsteps. As she neared the source, she saw two figures huddled beneath a flickering light. A boy, perhaps 16, and a girl, maybe her age, both covered in dirt and grime, looked desperate. Their eyes were wide, darting back to the shadows from which Claire had fled. "Did you see her?" the girl whispered, trembling. "The woman in blue? She was here. I swear. I don't care what you believe. We need to leave now," the boy urged, shaking his head frantically. "Where will we go?" the girl countered, shifting anxiously. "There's nowhere left to hide." An unsettling calm washed over Claire as she stepped further into the dim light. "Who are you?" she breathed, forcing the words past her fear. Both turned at her voice, their shock mingling with urgency. "You shouldn't be here," the boy warned, eyes wide. "She'll see you, she'll come for you next." "Who will?" Claire quivered, feeling reality slip further away. "The keeper." The boy gritted his teeth, desperation pooling in his voice. "The woman with the blue eyes." Claire found herself nodding, an eerie understanding dawning. "She knew me. She said something about secrets, about debts." The girl's breath hitched. "That's it. She's been hunting us down for our secrets. We thought escaping into the night would help us, but she knows, she always knows. We have to confess before she collects." "You saw the dead, didn't you?" The boy's expression darkened. "The dead?" Claire's stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" "There's no way to escape it. She feeds on fear, on guilt. She'll use what's buried inside you to bring you in for good. Hot fear gripped Claire's chest as the realization settled in. What horrors had her family been a part of? What debt had she unknowingly inherited? Suddenly, a chilling wind swept through the clearing, extinguishing their flickering light. Claire's heart froze, and instinctively, she stepped backward, her feet slipping against the mud. Then, the whisper came, smooth and chilling. Claire. The voice wrapped around her like a serpent, cold and constricting. She knew it all too familiar. It sent her into a spiral of dread. Listen to me. We need to go now. Claire shouted, turning to the boy and girl, but they were staring ahead, frozen in place. The woman in blue appeared from the shadows, gliding toward them with an otherworldly grace, her sapphire eyes glinting like fractured glass. Of course, I know you, child, she sang, her voice a haunting melody. You are all so deliciously filled with secrets. Run. Claire yelled, but her voice came out as a strangled squeak. The ground shook as reality shattered. The carnival lights exploded in color around them, illuminating the woman's predatory smile. Claire's lungs tightened, blood pounding in her ears as a dark dread washed over her. But this time, she wouldn't let it consume her without a fight. Determination surged within her as she crouched low, eyes locked on the woman. What do you want from me? Claire screamed at the woman, forcing herself to remain upright against the suffocating weight of fear. The keeper smiled wider, her voice dripping with malice. You already know the answer, Claire. You just have to look inside before I do. As darkness began creeping forward, Claire squeezed her eyes shut. She had to face her past, a past that could destroy her, or worse, claim her forever. Could she summon the courage to reclaim her own story, or would it be rewritten by the shadows? The air thickened around Claire, pressing down like a weighted blanket as the suffocating darkness enveloped her. But inside, a flicker of rebellion ignited. The keeper's smile twisted into something predatory, a beast relishing its prey. Look inside, Claire murmured, her breath quickening. Was that how she'd break free? She resisted the urge to turn away. The laughter of the carnival echoed distantly, morphing into a cacophony of madness. Her heart raced, but memories swirled, surfacing reluctantly. Faded images of family gatherings, old photographs, whispered secrets exchanged at midnight, all jangling against her terror. Is it my past you crave? She shot at the keeper. Oh, no, sweet Claire, the woman replied silkily, stepping forward, the very shadows bending to her will. You're not ready for that yet. But I can help you if you're willing to pay your debts. The realization hit her like a slap. You're not just hunting me for what I've done, it's what they did. My family. The words hung heavy in the air, tasting of ash. Oh, how deliciously naive. The keeper laughed, the sound brittle and mocking. Your secrets are what tie you together, but they are also your chains. A chill swept through the clearing, making Claire's teeth chatter. She wanted to scream, to bury the memories deep and forget. But the boy and girl were still frozen near the flickering light, their expressions ghostly pale. Their existence tethered her, fragments of their own pasts rippling in the dark. Don't listen to her. The boy suddenly shouted, breaking free of his paralysis. She thrives on your despair. The more you feed her, the stronger she becomes. The keeper's eyes flickered with irritation. Despair is the finest of meals, dear boy. But Claire's secrets? Now that's a banquet. With a burst of energy, Claire stepped back, her body thrumming with adrenaline. What do you want from us? She shouted, stoking the shadows. The woman in blue tilted her head, studying her. I only wish to reveal the truth, Claire. The truth about your family. The truth about the dead. Stop. Please. The girl whimpered, eyes wide with terror. We've already lost so much. Claire felt a surge of solidarity for her companions. If they were all bound by these shadows, they could perhaps confront the darkness together. With shaking legs, she stepped towards the boy, placing a steadying hand on his shoulder. What didn't you tell us? What's the truth? He looked at her, fear and determination warring in his gaze. The truth is we're connected. The keeper she uses our pasts against us. We've all lost someone to her. If we don't confront our own demons, we're lost. Claire's mind raced. A kaleidoscope of past wrongs danced before her eyes. Her family had concealed secrets, but were they vile enough to require the keeper's wrath? The giggles from the carnival dissolved into a ghastly symphony. In the distance, distant screams morphed into wails that echoed across the darkness. Claire's heart hammered with urgency. We can't keep running. We need to fight back. The keeper's amusement faded, replaced by a simmering rage. How naive, she hissed, her voice laced with venom. This is your fate now. You belong to me, and I can taste your fear. In that moment, a spark ignited within Claire. We're not your property. We are more than your game. The earth beneath them quaked as shadows undulated violently. Claire saw it then, the flicker of light in the darkness, a vision of the dead rising through the cracks. They clawed at thin air, longing for release. Join us, Claire. Or forever be lost. The voices cried out from beyond. The keeper's laughter rang out, shattering the moment. Choose wisely, child. Your time is running out. Claire turned abruptly as the carnival loomed closer, its twisted colors melding with the dread around them. It was a choice she wasn't ready to make, but she had no time. In this realm of deceit, she had to unravel the truth of her family. Together? She asked the boy and girl, determination hardening her resolve. They nodded, fear mingling with an ember of hope for the first time. But just as they formed a united front, the shadows surged towards them, hungry and aggressive, like a storm swallowing the light. Do not underestimate what I can unleash. The keeper shrieked, her ghostly form distorting into a nightmare. Fight! Fight! Claire urged, her voice urgent, vibrating with a force that defied the terror closing in. Everything began to collapse, colors pulsing, screams echoing, as the dark cocoon wrapped tighter. What was next? A desperate escape? Or would they have to descend further into the depths of their pasts to stand a chance against the keeper of their secrets? Claire felt her heart race as she wondered if courage could truly save them now. The shadows twisted and writhed around Claire, hungry for the light. Panic surged as the keeper's voice echoed, alive and malevolent. Embrace the darkness. It is all you have left. The boy and girl stood firm, their faces set with fear and determination. The air crackled with tension, almost electric. Claire felt the weight of their shared burden pressing down on her chest. Memories collided in her mind with frenzied speed, each one more haunting than the last. Dark family secrets clawed at her thoughts, their grotesque forms looming just out of reach. Look! The boy shouted, pointing into the suffocating shadows. We need to face what they've hidden from us. The laughter of the keeper faded momentarily, replaced by the distant screams that echoed through the carnival. Each cry resonated with Claire, reminding her of everything she had lost, the moments stolen, the truths buried. The panic twisted in her stomach like a vice. With a deep breath, she turned her gaze to the boy and girl. What if our pasts are the key? She whispered, uncertainty bleeding into her voice. We have to dig deeper. No. The girl gasped, fear sparkling in her eyes. If we confront the truth, she'll take everything from us. We can't, the keeper cackled, her form stretching like smoke in the wind. She's right, dear child. Face your own sins, or they will consume you. Suddenly, the shadows lunged, curling around the trio like serpents, cold and unyielding. Claire's heart raced as she fought against the encroaching darkness. Her fingers trembled against the boy's shoulder, searching for stability as the air thickened with raw dread. We can't give in. The boy shouted, clutching Claire's hand. We must uncover the truth together. We owe it to ourselves. The ground trembled beneath them, shaking the very fabric of their reality. It felt like an earthquake, the carnival's twisted lights flickering ominously as if signaling an impending doom. Claire looked into the eyes of her companions, each glaring at the keeper, defiance sparking in their spirits. All our pasts are threads woven together, Claire pressed, determination flooding her voice. If we pull them apart, there's a chance. A chance to weaken her. Foolish girl. The keeper screeched, her fury setting the very air ablaze. You think you have the power? Her form contorted, a vast shadowy figure looming over them, her features sharp and feral. Fear is your only ally. You will bow to me. No. We refuse. Claire cried out. We choose our own destinies. In that moment, an eerie silence blanketed the chaos, wrapping around them like a shroud. The shadows paused, hesitant, as if they could feel the raw energy surging through Claire and her companions, a spark of resilience. You dare challenge me? The keeper hissed, her voice slicing through the silence. Before them, a rift opened, revealing visions of the past, shattered family moments, blood-soaked secrets, piercing betrayal. Claire felt her breath hitch as the memories shot through her, each one a jagged shard. The carousel spun grotesquely, each painted horse a ghost from her history. The darkness seemed to leer, aware of the vulnerability it exposed. What's done is done, but the truth can liberate us, the boy said, face pale but resolved. That's our power, the truth. With a sudden, heavy jolt, the shadows recoiled as if stung. Claire's heart raced. Maybe they could prevail. They had to unite. They had to dig. The keeper snarled, her eyes blazing with fury. I will bury your truths and claim your souls. The shadows surged forward, engulfing them once more, but this time, Claire held firm to the boy and girl's hands. They closed their eyes, a deep breath uniting their spirits. Together. Claire shouted, heartbeat echoing the urgency of the moment. Let us face it together. As the darkness wrapped tighter, memories clawed at them, pulling them into an ancient well of despair. Was this the end? Or merely the beginning of a harrowing revelation? The carnival loomed closer, a beast ready to devour them whole. Just as the weight of their pasts generated an unbearable pressure, a blinding light pierced the shadows. But what awaited them in that blinding truth? Would it be salvation or damnation? With fear clawing at her throat, Claire braced for what lay ahead, wondering if they all had the strength to endure. The blinding light surged, cutting through the darkness like a knife. Heartbeats raced, echoing in Claire's ears as the shadows writhed in panic, recoiling from the brightness. It engulfed them in a warmth they had long forgotten, a fleeting taste of hope amidst despair. But the keeper wasn't finished. With a furious roar, she lunged forward, her form shifting and splitting like 1,000 claws reaching out for them. You think this light can save you? She screeched. Light without truth is nothing but a flickering candle in a storm. Your sins will return. Claire gripped the hands of the boy and girl tightly, the warmth of their unity anchoring her. And suddenly, she felt it, a pulse, a rhythm deep within her. It pulsed with the heartbeat of forgotten memories, buried truths clawing at the edges of her consciousness. Remember. She shouted. We have to embrace the truth. It's all we have. Visions flooded her mind, memories of laughter turned to screams, sunny days eclipsed by dark clouds. Each moment was a shadow of the past, echoing with sorrow and betrayal, but also strength. Focus, she urged. The boy nodded, his face set in determination. We can't let her drag us down. Together. The girl squeezed Claire's hand. They held tight as the shadows seethed around them, attempting to warp their vision with images of despair. They saw flickering phantoms of their loved ones, mouths open in silent cries. It tore at Claire's heart. Your family. The keeper jeered, her voice dripping with malice. Their secrets, their sins. Do you think they loved you? They were afraid. Afraid of you. A surge of rage coursed through Claire. She thought of her mother's distant gaze, the secrets her family buried deep within twisted smiles. No. She screamed. They loved me. And I will reveal their truths. I will break the cycle. The light around them pulsed harder, responding to her fierce declaration. Let's reveal our pain. Let the world see who we truly are. The shadows writhed in agony, and as they did, Claire drew from the pain she had buried deep. Memories began spilling out, memories of late-night whispers, haunting secrets echoing in the silence of her childhood home. The boy and girl joined in, sharing their own tellings, their own truths, the secrets that kept them shackled. With each word spoken, the light intensified, bright enough to hurt their eyes. There was power in honesty, a genuine burning desire for release. The darkness began to ebb, their tangled pasts released little by little, like a tapestry unraveled one thread at a time. But the keeper howled, fury twisting her visage. Fools! You think uncovering the past will free you? I will consume you. The air crackled with unresolved tension. Just as he opened his mouth to scream again, Claire felt her heart stop. From the depths of her darkness rose the figure of her mother, translucent but fierce. Claire, her mother's voice floated through the air, strong yet sorrowful. You must remember me and what we lost. You are not alone. Claire shuddered at the sight. Her mother's pain reflected her own as they stood together, shadows clawing at the edges, desperate to pull them apart. Pinpricks of fear etched across her skin. Face her together, Claire. The boy shouted. Find your strength. End this. The girl cried, and Claire felt a crackle of energy shoot through her, a collective will binding them together. The keeper lunged again, but this time, a barrier of light shot out from Claire, the truth coursing like fire through her veins. We are strong. We won to be consumed. Then, a thunderous crack split the carnival air. The ground shook beneath them, a violent tremor of unleashed memories. Claire could feel the shadows scream in agony as the light intensified around them, a shimmering shield of resolve. But just as light seemed to take complete control, Claire's eyes widened. A shadow in the corner of her vision shifted, a figure emerging from the depths of darkness. Its face was shrouded, but Claire could feel its cold eyes boring into her soul. What is that? She gasped, dread pooling in her stomach. It was not the keeper but something far worse. A flicker of recognition ignited in her memory. No, the carnival twisted and warped, leaving them suspended in a reality threatening to swallow them whole. Had they truly uncovered their past, or had they just unleashed a far more horrifying truth? As the shadows loomed and the frigid air crackled with palpable fear, Claire steadied herself, heart hammering. The figure slowly emerged, wearing familiarity like a mask. It was her mother, the version she had always feared, the specter of unresolved guilt and sorrow. You cannot escape the truth, Claire, the specter rasped, the tone hauntingly reminiscent of old conversations filled with unspoken pain. No. Claire shouted, flinching at the phantom's words. She took a step back, the shadows swirling just behind her. I'm not afraid of you. I need to confront the truth. With a flicker of resolve, the light around them pulsed with her inner strength. The boy and girl stood rigid beside her, mirroring her defiance as they each summoned their memories to join Claire's. Together, they yelled, "We refuse to be defined by our pasts." The specter recoiled, an awful wail spilling from her lips. But the secrets, Claire, they bound us. Your darkness fuels me. Without them, I am nothing. No. Claire lifted her chin, feeling the warmth of hope surge through the air. We will no longer live in shadows. We will speak everything that has been buried. Memories of late-night whispers, lost laughter, smiles mixed with tears, every secret flowed in words that bore no shame. The darkness trembled at the collective release, the truth shaking the very foundation of their reality. As they unleashed their stories, the abominable darkness retreated. The carnival's lights flickered above, illuminating a path forward. The keeper screeched, "You cannot escape me. You're all mine." With one final burst of strength, Claire pushed against the lingering darkness. You don't own me. You don't own us. She roared, grasping the hands of her companions tightly. The air electrified, and everything swirled into a breathtaking burst of light, dispersing the shadows like popcorn kernels exploding. The carnival atmosphere glowed vibrantly as the keeper's face morphed into raw fury, realizing her hold was slipping. No. This cannot be. But even as the keeper writhed in disbelief, Claire felt an undeniable shift. Their combined truths manifested as a blinding brilliance, encasing them in layers of protection. The laughter of the festival returned, but this time it felt alive, joyous. And then, the horrible figure melted completely, dissolving into a mist of forgotten fears. A powerful surge settled around them. A moment of undeniable clarity washed over Claire. She opened her eyes, now having cast away the shadows that suffocated her family's past. Suddenly, tranquility washed over Claire as she found herself in the center of the carnival once again, surrounded by vibrant lights and starlit laughter. The chaos had vanished, leaving her next to the boy and girl, their expressions a mixture of disbelief and relief. "We did it," the girl whispered, eyes wide with wonder. Together, the boy confirmed, laughter bubbling in his voice, light dancing in his features. Claire turned her gaze to the sky. The stars twinkled like diamonds, their warmth grounding her in ways she never imagined. Yes, the past may have carried its secrets, but it would no longer define her. She felt free, her heart swelling with joy. "Let us leave the past behind," Claire said softly, the weight finally lifting as she took a deep breath. As they embraced, the carnival shifted into the background, and Claire looked to her new friends. They had faced terror together, but more importantly, they had unveiled a sacred bond marked by bravery, vulnerability, and connection. With the festival behind them, bright lights fading into the distance, Claire knew the road ahead would curve and twist. Yet, she marched forward without fear. Truth was her ally now. The warm night air wrapped around them as they ventured into the unknown, a beautiful world unfurling before their eager path. Light dispelling darkness, every step echoed strength, freedom, and the promise of brighter days ahead. This was their moment. Together, they walked forward with hope. And as they stepped into their future, the carnival behind them transformed into a flicker, a memory now forged from one destructive darkness into something wholly beautiful. In Claire's heart burned the certainty of healing, a capability to confront what lay ahead, to embrace the truths of life, and to cherish the bonds forged in the crucible of adversity. You need to subscribe now to witness more thrilling stories that explore the depths of truth and courage. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and keep this narrative family growing. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Claire's journey. We want to hear what you think. And don't wait even one more second to share this chapter with at least 5 friends who also deserve to experience this epic conclusion. Grab them on board for the next adventure.